Are we good? I'm never sure when I click start on this thing. Ah, there we go. Hello everybody, and welcome to what I believe is going to be the finale of Doki-Doki Literature Club. So last time we had a significant amount of traumatic events, which were not okay. So hopefully we can avoid a couple of those this time around, but knowing this game, probably not. I have no idea what to expect, so we'll see what happens. Let me just get my go live post out of the way. Alright, that should be good. Now let's close this out. Wait, hang on. I think my Twitter broke. Give me a second. I don't know if it actually posted. Yes, it did. Okay, we're good. Alright, so let's go forward. Load game. I don't remember what we were doing. But we're gonna find out. Let me move my screen so I can see. There we go. Alright, so I can see chat, I can see everything. Alright. Hi again, Lee. Glad to see you didn't run away on us. Ha ha ha. Nah, don't worry. This might be a little strange for me, but I at least keep my word. Well, I'm back at the Literature Club. I was the last to come in, so everyone else is already hanging out. Thanks for keeping your promise, Lee. I hope this isn't too overwhelming of a commitment for you. Making you dive headfirst into literature when you're not accustomed to it, it really can be rough. Like, words are beautiful, literature is beautiful, but it's hard. It is hard. Excuse me! Why? Oh, come on, like he deserves any slack. You already had to be dragged here by Monica. I don't know if you plan to just come here and hang out or what, but if you don't take us seriously, then you won't see the end of it. I like how she's blocking it, but I still... Natsuki, you certainly have a big mouth for someone who keeps their manga collection in the club room. Natsuki finds herself stuck between saying Monica and manga. There's a joke in here somewhere that I can't make because of guidelines. Or TOS, whatever. Manga is literature. Agreed! Agreed. Not quite a mainstream version, but agreed. Swiftly defeated, Natsuki plops back into her seat. I'm sorry, Lee. We'll make sure to put your comfort first, okay? Yuri shoots Natsuki with a disappointed glance. Anyway, now that you're in the club and all, perhaps you might have interest in picking up a book to read. Well, I can't really say no either way. Like you said, I'm in this club now. So it only feels right for me to do something like that if you ask. Wait, I didn't mean it like that. If you don't really want to, then forget I said anything, I guess. No, it's not that, Yuri. I want to try to be a part of this club. So even if I don't read often, I'd be happy to pick up a book if you wanted me to. Plus, somebody who's really big on reading and literature and like really complicated stuff, follow their recommendations if you want to get into their like interests, their genres of whatever they like. You know, if you want to get into reading and you have friends who are super big on it and like really love to go into deep novels, ask for their input. They can guide you wherever you want to go, whatever you're interested in. Are you sure? I just felt like, well, as vice president and all, that I should help you get started on something you might like. But I mean, if I don't read, how do I really know that, you know? Yuri reaches into her bag and pulls out a book. I didn't want you to feel left out, so I picked out a book that I thought you might enjoy. It's a short read, so it should keep your attention even if you don't usually read. And we could, you know, discuss it, if you wanted. This is... How is this girl accidentally being so cute? Honestly, she's just straight up like this all the time, and it's very endearing. My cats keep chasing each other, and the sound of them running around is distracting me. One of you, come here. Come here. Hi, Izzy. Good girl. Behave yourself. Silly. Hi, Zoe. Oh, there they go again. She even picked out a book she thinks I'll like, despite me not reading much. Yuri, thank you. I'll definitely read this. I enthusiastically take the book. Phew. Well, you can read it at your own pace. I look forward to hearing what you think. Now that everyone's settled in, I expected Monica to kick off some scheduled activities for the club, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Yuri's face is already buried in a book. I can't help but notice her intense expression, like she was waiting for this chance. Meanwhile, Natsuki is rummaging around in the closet. I hear Natsuki utter an exasperated sigh from within the closet. She seems to be annoyed by something. I approach her in case she needs a hand. You looking for something in there? Okay. She never puts my stuff back in the right spot. Oh, okay, so this is how we're starting off. What's the point in keeping your collection organized if someone else is just gonna mess it up? Felt. Like, I'm not the most, clean and organized person in the world, but I have an order to everything. Don't mess with it. Natsuki slides a bunch of stacked books and boxes across the shelf. Manga. You read manga, right? Sometimes. Manga is one of those things where you can't admit you're really into it till you figure out where the other person stands. Now, honestly, I was never huge on reading manga when I was a kid. I did and still do prefer to watch anime instead. And I know that they're rarely faithful, and you tend to miss out on a lot. But it's mentally taxing for me. Like reading in general can be sometimes. And I do like anime. I've only read a few manga in my life. I have the entire Death Note special Black Book collection. I've read most of the ReZero manga, including a couple of the side stories that the author made. I used to read One Piece when I was little. I read the Kingdom Hearts manga. There was a lot of stuff that I got into when I was a kid that I just don't really do too much anymore. How did you know, anyway? I heard you bring it up at some point. Besides, it's kind of written on your face. What is that supposed to mean? I see. There's a lone volume of manga amidst a stack of various books on the side of one of the shelves. Curious, I pull it out of the stack. There it is! Natsuki snatches it out of my hand. She then turns to a box of manga and slips the volume right into the middle of the rest. No, seriously, if you're picking out books to read off of a shelf, especially if they're organized, but even if they're not, put it back where you found it. I have a small stroke anytime, I have things organized in a list, and someone takes a piece out and then just tosses it wherever afterwards. Gives me anxiety. Yeah, much better. Seeing a box set with one book missing is probably the most irritating sight in the world. Yeah. I know that feel. I get a closer look at the box set she's admiring. Parfait Girls? It's a series I've never heard of in my life. That probably means it's either way out of my demographic or it's simply terrible. Possibly both. If you're gonna judge, you can do it through the glass on that door. She points to the classroom door. Hey, I wasn't judging anything. I didn't even say anything. Oh, OBS just randomly reconnection successful. Okay, we're good. I don't know if you guys could hear me that entire time, but for some reason OBS just bugged out. That was weird. Oh, my bitrate tanked. That's why. Of course, here we go. Am I having bitrate issues? Because I could lower it. Hang on. Let me, there's a program called Twitch Inspector that I use sometimes, and it, keeps you updated on the stability of your stream. It looks like it's doing okay. Yeah, my bitrate is reasonably high. All of a sudden, unstable. Alright, so let me lower my bitrate a little bit so that it's less taxing. Let me do that real quick. I think maybe that'll drop it a little bit. Did that? It doesn't appear to have. Ah, well. We'll just keep going and hope that it stays okay. Wouldn't chairs be more comfortable? I take my seat. You know, actually, when I was in high school, I hated sitting in the desks. Even when I was in college, well, I still am in college, but in my early days of college before COVID, I hated sitting in the desks, in the chairs. I'd sit on them. It was just, like, comfortable for me that I would sit on the desk, on the table, like, and I'd be, like, sometimes I'd be crouching, sometimes I'd just be sitting on them if it were tables, sometimes I'd be, like, laying on them, because it just wasn't comfortable for me to sit there at a desk nonstop, and I hated it. And it annoyed some teachers, but it made some laugh, and it just, you know, it helped me focus better, because I don't like to just sit still. I have ADHD, I don't like it. Oh well, it'd be like that. Chairs wouldn't work. We can't read at the same time like that. Huh? Why's that? I guess it's easier to be close together like this. Oh, word? Don't just say that. Oh, here we go again. You'll make me feel weird about it. Natsuki crosses her arms and scooches an inch away from me. Sorry. I didn't exactly expect to be sitting this close to her, either. Not that I can say it's a particularly bad thing. I open the book. It's only a few seconds before Natsuki once again inches closer, reclaiming the additional space while she hopes I won't notice. I can feel her peering over my shoulder, much more eager to begin reading than I am. Wow, how long has it been since I read the beginning? That's how I feel going back towards a lot of the old series from my childhood, like Percy Jackson and Aragon and all those. I'm like, damn, how long has it been since I started these? You don't... Legendary Anime J... Oh my goodness. That's quite the name. Welcome in, my friend. Legendary Anime JP Fan 2. My first visual novel, I think so. Nope, I've only played 100 visual novels. I think this is my first one. I also collect 300 visual novels. Cool. I don't have that many. I don't think I have that many of anything, really. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Doki-Doki is my first like visual novel where I've done anything like this before. But thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Not really. Maybe sometimes after I've already finished the series. Hey, are you paying attention? I am, but nothing's really happened yet, so I can talk at the same time. It looks like it's about a bunch of friends in high school. Typical slice-of-life affair. I kind of grew out of these, since it's rare for the writing to be entertaining enough to make up for the lack of plot. Now, not to knock on slice-of-life, but I agree, on a part, like, personally, I don't think slice of life is bad, it's just not typically my style. I like things like My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer. I like things that have serious excitement, fight scenes, heroics. I like that kind of stuff. I'm not huge on slice of life. But, you know, to each their own. Why am I looking at a 10-year-old? Like, she looked so much older when we were hanging out earlier in the game. She straight up looks like a middle schooler at best right now. Are you sure this isn't boring for you? It's not. Even though you're just watching me read? Well, I'm fine with that. If you say so. I guess it's fun sharing something you like with someone else. I always get excited when I convince any of my friends to pick up a series I enjoy. Me with Kingdom Hearts and Dark Souls and Resident Evil. I don't have that with... Although, speaking of me talking about reading the Percy Jackson series again, one of my students was looking for a new series to read, and I gave her, like, my copies. I'm giving her one after the other. And she is, like, so caught up in it. She absolutely loves it. She keeps talking to me about how excited she is to find out what happens next. And this is pretty much what that looks like. You know what I mean? Huh? You don't? That's not... Well, I wouldn't really know. What do you mean? Don't you share your manga with your friends? Could you not rub it in? Oh, jeez. Ah, sorry. Like I could ever get my friends to read this. They just think manga is for kids. I can't even bring it up without them being all like, you still haven't grown out of that yet? People also say the video games are for kids, and that's objectively untrue. Makes me want to punch them in the face. Sheesh. I know those kinds of people. Honestly, it takes a lot of effort to find friends who don't judge, much less friends who are also into it. Actually, I found a lot of those, and I love all of them. Y'all are wonderful people. Shout out to my squad. Mwah. I'm already kind of a loser, so I guess I gravitated towards the other losers over time. But it's probably harder for someone like you. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Wait, which part? I mean, I feel like I can't even keep it in my own room. My dad would... Oh, okay, my dad would beat the crap out of me if he found this. At least it's safe here in the club room. Except Monika's kind of a jerk about it. I just can't win, can I? So I believe if you, like, consistently write your poems for Natsuki, these are the scenes you get. I haven't done a Natsuki run, so I don't know. But I think this is just, like, following the normal cycle of the game, but included with the bugging out. Whoa, bitrate just flatlined. Let me drop it down a little bit again. No, let's drop in further. Maybe down there? I don't know. I want to make sure that my stream is okay. I don't like that my connection is buffering, because I actually have really good speed right now. It's weird. Oh well. Well, it paid off in the end, didn't it? I mean, here I am, reading it. Well, it's not like that solves any of my problems. Maybe. But at least you're enjoying yourself, right? So. Ahaha. Jeez, that's enough. I mean, that's important. As long as you're having a good time, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, I always try to follow the philosophy of All Might. No matter what trouble is in his way, he always saves everyone with a smile. You just gotta face every day with a smile. Are you gonna keep reading or what? Yeah. I flipped the page. Uh-huh. I feel like I'm playing Final Fantasy VIII, listening to Squall talk. Time passes. Natsuki is strangely quiet now. I glance over at her. Oh, it looks like she started to fall asleep. Hey, Natsuki. Yeah? Her eyes bug out for anybody else just now? That was uncomfortable. Oh. My stream is running a little bit out of sync. Hang on. Let me try and fix that. Yeah, I think her eyes did bug out. Yeah? Suddenly, Natsuki collapses straight into me. Hey! Oh! So this is what we're doing. No. Oh, jeez. Natsuki, are you okay? Here. Monika reaches into her bag and pulls out some kind of protein bar. She throws it in Natsuki's direction. Natsuki's eyes suddenly light up again. She snatches the bar from the floor and immediately tears off the wrapper. I told you not to give... She doesn't even finish her sentence before stuffing it into her mouth. Don't worry, Lee. She's fine. It just happens every now and then. She breaks existence? That's why I always keep a snack in my bag for her. Anyway, she did that thing that unfocuses my eyes. Why don't we all share poems now? I don't wanna. Told Natsuki I was interested in her poems yesterday. It's probably only fair if I shared mine with her first. Huh? Okay, well, let's start with the things I don't like. First of all, Natsuki rereads my poem. Never mind, I don't feel like giving you my opinion. What's the point of sharing in the first place? I wrote this when I could have been doing other things. In fact, remember how I said I wanted to read your poems? That's what I had in mind when writing this. I want to help you feel comfortable enough to share yours. Like Monica said. Raoul! What's up, buddy? Let me give you a shout out real quick. How you doing, man? Ah, yes, Ghost of Sparta. How'd that go? Did you die? Well, I would be more comfortable sharing my poem if yours was really bad. You were supposed to show me some dumb poem and make me go, ha, well, it's not that great. Let me show you what real literature looks like. And you went and ruined it. Aww, I flexed on her. Oopsies. What a shame. So, in other words, you're saying you liked it? Natsuki's retort gets caught in her throat. You don't understand anything, do you? I already told you that. You don't have to go announcing it to the world like you're all self-important. Sheesh, okay. A good amount of times, but the robot got through, looking to finish it for part of my subathon. Now to play some Duck Dynasty. Oh, God. Yeah, it'd be like that. Pretty sure you never actually said that. I say that mostly to myself. Natsuki must really hate me or something. I can't figure out if it's a win or a loss that she liked my poem. In any case, you still need to show me yours, right? Oh my god, my bitrate's tanking even further. Why is it doing that? Hang on, do I need to, like, disconnect stuff from Wi-Fi? What's happening? Nothing, like, there's literally nothing on Wi-Fi right now, except for my laptop. I shouldn't be having technical problems like this. To let the chat know, it still blows my mind a sealed copy was $5. Yeah, we went to a game shop yesterday, and Raoul found a copy of the Duck Dynasty game, which, by the way, I don't understand why it exists. And it was, like, sealed, still in its wrapping, like, mint condition. It was $5. And, I mean, I'm not shocked, but also, why? Why does my bitrate keep dropping? Let me bring up Inspector again and see what happens. Right here. I'm having a lot of instability, and I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I should try increasing it again and it'll, like, follow suit? Seems to be stabilizing. Yeah, it seems to be stabilizing okay now. Hopefully it stays that way. In any case, you still need to show me yours, right? Grr, fine, I guess. Only because Monica will make me if I don't. Oh, this again. Eagles can fly. Monkeys can climb. Crickets can leap. Horses can race. Owls can seek. Cheetahs can run. Eagles can fly. People can try, but that's about it. You know, the fact that cheetahs can run is actually a very bad thing for them, but anyway. Yeah. Reconnection successful. Alright. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with OBS today, or the game itself, really. Like, my connection is solid, my computer is functioning fine. This didn't happen last time either. So I genuinely do not know what's happening right now. And it's kind of annoying, but if it happens again, I'll just cut the stream and we'll try again next week. I'll see if I can fix whatever's going on. I told you that you weren't going to like it. I like it. What? Just be honest. I am. Why are you so convinced that I wouldn't like it? Well, because everyone in high school thinks that writing has to be all sophisticated and stuff. So people don't even take my writing seriously. But isn't the point of poems for people to express themselves? Your writing style wouldn't make your message any less valid. Yes, exactly. I like when it's easy to read, but it hits you hard. Like in this poem. Seeing everyone around you do great things can be really disheartening. So I decided to write about it. Yeah, I understand. But the other nice thing about simple writing is that it puts more weight on the wordplay. Like I set up for a rhyme at the end, but then made it fall flat on purpose. It helps bring out the feeling in the last line. So you did. I guess more went into it than I realized. That's what it means to be a pro. I'm glad you learned something. Didn't expect that from the youngest one here, did you? Yeah, guess not. I decided to humor her with that last comment. I don't really care how old everyone is, but if Natsuki is feeling proud, then I won't take that away from her. Hang on. Minimize Discord. Yuri. She's gonna trash it. She's gonna straight trash it. Yuri stares at the poem. A minute passes, more than enough time for her to finish reading. Oh. Sorry. I forgot to start speaking. It's fine. Don't force yourself. I'm not. I just need to put my thoughts into words. Hold on. Okay. This is your first time writing a poem, right? Yeah? Why do you ask? I'm just making sure. I guess that it might be after reading through it. Ah, so it's that bad. No. Did I just raise my voice? I'm so sorry. Yuri buries her face in her hands. I couldn't help but notice that it's been several minutes and we really haven't gotten anywhere. It might take Yuri a while to get used to new people. It's fine. I really didn't notice. What were you saying? Right. It's just that there are specific writing habits that are usually typical of new writers. And having been through that myself, I kind of learned to pick up on them. I think the most noticeable thing I recognize in new writers is that they try to make their style very deliberate. In other words, they tend to pick a writing style separate from the topic matter, and they form-fit the two together. The end result is that both the style and the expressiveness are weakened. Once Yuri finishes her train of thought, it's as if her demeanor totally changes. Her stammering is completely gone, and she sounds like an expert. Of course, that's not something you can be blamed for. There are so many different skills and techniques that go into writing even a simple poem. Not just finding them and building them, but getting them to work together is probably the most challenging part. It might take you some time, but it all comes with practice and learning by example and trying new things. I also hope that everyone else in the club gives you valuable feedback. Natsuki can be a little bit biased, though. Biased? How? Well, never mind. I shouldn't be talking about people like that. Sorry. It's fine. I'm not sure if Yuri is apologizing to herself, to me, or to Natsuki. Do you mind if I read your poem now? Please do. I'd love to share my thought process behind it. Yuri smiles dreamily, as if that's a rare opportunity for her, which itself is kind of funny. After all, isn't this supposed to be a literature club? Ghost under the light. The tendrils of my hair illuminate beneath the amber glow. Bathing. It must be this one. The last remaining streetlight to have withstood the test of time. The last yet to be replaced by the sickening blue-green hue of the future. I bathe. Calm. Breathing air. Yeah, it does say bathe. Calm, breathing air of the present, but living in the past. The light flickers. I flicker back. What's up, Zoe? Waddling off? Okay. She walked up to me and chirped. So I was like, does she need something? Then she turns and walks away. It'd be like that. You know, this mixture of print and cursive is really funky for me to try to read. Because a lot of my students write in it. And it's really a little difficult on the eyes, especially if you don't know how to read both very well. Trying to mix them is very, very straining almost. So it's weird that someone who's so sophisticated and big on her style and all that would do that, you know what I mean? I'm sorry I have such terrible handwriting. The handwriting is very nice, it's just the fact that it's a mishmash of two different forms of it. It makes it weird. I wasn't thinking that at all. I guess I technically was. But it took you a long time to read. Well, I just don't read script very often. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I actually think your handwriting is pretty. Huh? That's a relief. Also, I like the poem. Even though it's short, it was really descriptive. It wasn't too short? I usually write longer poems. Not at all. I'm really glad you like it. I'll be honest, since it's our first time sharing, I wanted to write something a little more mild. Something easy to digest, I suppose. So, the last remaining street lamp flickers and you flicker back is supposed to be mild? Are you into ghosts, Siri? Actually, the story isn't about a ghost at all. Really? I must have totally missed the point. Well, I suppose you did only glance over it after all. But remember that poets often express their thoughts, feelings, and experiences in their work. They usually do more than tell a simple story or paint a picture. In this case, perhaps the subject of the poem is only being symbolically compared to a ghost, lingering in her last remaining place of comfort, unable to let go of the past, and soon to be left with nothing. That's a lot more solemn, putting it that way. I hadn't even thought of that. That's impressive. It's nothing, really. Well, it makes me happy that you think that. Just remember that it won't be long before you pick up on these things, too. Yeah, maybe you're right. I guess I'll have to keep trying. I'm counting on you. Monica! Hi, Lee. Having a good time so far? Yeah. Good. Glad to hear it. By the way, since you're new and everything, if you ever have any suggestions for the club, like new activities or things we can do better, I'm always listening. Excuse me. Don't be afraid to bring things up, okay? Alright, I'll keep that in mind. Of course I'll be afraid to bring things up. I'm much better off just going with the flow until I'm more settled in. Mood. I'm like that too, honestly. Like, unless there's a serious problem, I don't really like to make waves. Anyway, want to share your poem with me? It's kind of embarrassing, but I guess I have to. Ah ha 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 ha. Don't worry, Lee. We're all a little embarrassed today, you know? But it's that sort of barrier that we'll all learn to get past soon. Yeah, that's true. I hand Monica my poem. I like it, Lee. Really? It's a lot cuter than I expected. Oh, jeez. No. It kind of makes me think of something Natsuki would write. And she's a good writer, too. So take that as a compliment. Stop doing that. Stop tilting your body. If you say so. Yep. If you're interested in Natsuki, then always keep a snack on you. She'll cling to you like a puppy. Oh. Natsuki's dad doesn't give her lunch money or leave her any food in the house, so she's in a fussy mood pretty often. But sometimes she just loses all of her strength and shuts down. Like earlier. This is just a guess, but I think she's so small because her malnutrition is interfering with her adolescent growth. But hey, some guys are into petite girls too, you know? Sorry, just trying to look at the bright side. All of that was out of pocket, unreasonable information to just give me. None of that was yours to tell. Anyways, do you want to read my poem now? Don't worry, I'm not very good. You sound pretty confident for someone who claims to not be very good. Confidence is key. It doesn't matter if you're good or not. It matters if you care. You know? Effort is more important than results, in my opinion. Obviously, that depends on what you're doing. But effort is more important than results. Well, that's because I have to sound confident. It doesn't mean I always feel that way, you know? Exactly. I see. Well, let's read it then. Hole in wall. But he wasn't looking at me. Confused, I frantically glance at my surroundings. But my burned eyes can no longer see color. Are there others in this room? Are they talking? Or are they simply poems on flat sheets of paper? The sound of frantic scrawling playing tricks on my ears. The room begins to crinkle, closing in on me. The air I breathe dissipates before it reaches my lungs. I panic. There must be a way out. It's right there. He's right there. Swallowing my fears, I brandish my pen. So, what do you think? It's very freeform, if that's what you call it. Sorry, I'm not really the right person to ask for feedback. I don't know why I'm suddenly yawning so much. Yeah, that kind of style has gotten pretty popular nowadays. Maybe it's because I'm talking a lot. Whatever. That is, a lot of poems have been putting emphasis on the timing between words and lines. When performed out loud, it can be really powerful. What was the inspiration behind this one? Well, I'm not sure if I know how to put it. I guess you could say that I had some kind of epiphany recently. It's been influencing my poems a bit. An epiphany? Yeah, something like that. I'm kind of nervous to talk about deep stuff like that, because it's kind of coming on strongly. Maybe after everyone is better friends with each other. Anyway, here's Monica's writing tip of the day. Sometimes when you're writing a poem or a story, your brain gets too fixated on a specific point. If you try so hard to make it perfect, then you'll never make any progress. Just force yourself to get something down on the paper and tidy it up later. It's actually pretty good advice. I struggle with finding the right way to start this line or to make it sound the way I want it to. And I end up sitting at the beginning of something for, hours when whatever I'm trying to write in and of itself would only take maybe 10 minutes. So it's important to just go through the motions, get done what you want to get done, make sure your overall point comes across, and then work on the nitty-gritty afterwards. It's very handy. Another way to think about this is, if you keep your pen in the same spot for too long, you'll just get a big dark puddle of ink. I don't use pens, but I take your point. So just move your hand and go with the flow. Actually, that does create ink puddles, because I'm left-handed, and I drag my hand across the page. So if I write with a pen, and it happens with pencil too, if my lines get too long, I will actually smudge my words and get my hands all like gray or black or blue, whatever color. That's my advice for today. Thanks for listening. Phew. I guess that's everyone. I glance around the room. That was a little more stressful than I anticipated. It's as if everyone is judging me for my mediocre writing abilities. Shut your mouth, you mediocre clarinet player. Even if they're just being nice, there's no way my poems can stand up to theirs. This is a literature club, after all. I sigh. Excuse me. I guess that's what I ended up getting myself into. Across the room, Monica is writing something in her notebook. My eyes land on Yuri and Natsuki. They gingerly exchange sheets of paper. Take two. In English, they gingerly exchange sheets of paper, sharing their respective poems. I heard that come out of my own mouth and just went, wait a minute. As they read in tandem, I watch each of their expressions change. Natsuki's eyebrows furrow in frustration. Meanwhile, Yuri smiles sadly. What's with this language? Huh? Did you say something? Oh, it's nothing. Natsuki dismissively returns the poem to the desk with one hand. I guess you could say it's fancy. Thanks. Yours is cute. Cute? Did you completely miss the symbolism or something? It's clearly about the feelings of giving up. How can that be cute? I know that. I just meant the language, I guess. I was trying to say something nice. Huh? You have to try that hard to come up with something nice to say. I hate when people do that. Like, she doesn't like it. It's not her style. I get it. But stop it. Thanks, but it really didn't come out nice at all. Well, I do have a couple suggestions. If I was looking for suggestions, I would have asked someone who actually liked it. Which people did, by the way. Monica liked it, and Lee did too. So based on that, I'll gladly give you some suggestions of my own. First of all, excuse me. I appreciate the offer, but I've spent a long time establishing my writing style. I don't expect it to change anytime soon unless, of course, I come across something particularly inspiring, which I haven't yet. And Lee liked my poem too, you know. He even told me he was impressed by it. Natsuki suddenly stands up. Uh-oh. Oh? I didn't realize you were so invested in trying to impress our new member, Yuri. Huh? That's not what I... You're just... Yuri stands up as well. Maybe you're just jealous that Lee appreciates my advice more than he appreciated yours. Huh? And how do you know he didn't appreciate my advice more? Are you that full of yourself? She's got a point. No. If I was full of myself, I would deliberately go out of my way to make everything I do overly cutesy. That doesn't sound like a full of yourself thing. Well, you know what? I wasn't the one whose poops magically grew a size bigger as soon as Lee started showing up. Here we go again with this comment. Natsuki! Natsuki, that's a little... This doesn't involve you. Taking out your own insecurities on others like that. You really act as young as you look, Natsuki. Me? Look who's talking. You want to be edgy. Wow. Edgy? Sorry that my lifestyle is too much for someone of your mental age to comprehend. See? Just saying that proves my point. Most people learn to get over themselves after they graduate middle school, you know. If you want to prove anything, then stop harassing others with your sickening attitude. You think you can counterbalance your toxic personality just by dressing and acting cute? Jeez, she went for the jugular there. The only cute thing about you is how hard you try. That's out of pocket. Even the game is breaking because it can't handle that. Whoa, be careful. You might cut yourself on that edge. You're... Ladies, you're both pretty. Oh my... No. No. Never, ever, ever make a comment like that. Somebody is likely to deck you across the jaw if you make a comment like that to them, and you will have it coming. Did you just accuse me of cutting myself? What is wrong with your head? Yeah, go on. Let me hear everything you really think. I'm sure he'll be head over heels for you after this. Suddenly, Yuri turns towards me as if she noticed I was standing there. Lee, she's just trying to make me look bad. That's not true. She started it. Whoa. Not for me. 100% success rate. This is the part where Sayori is supposed to help me. I don't even know what it said at the end there. I mean... Natsuki got overly defensive, but Yuri is being, like, kind of harsh here. She's not... Yuri is the problem. They're both an issue. But I think if I have to pick lesser of two evils... What? Hi. Hey Lee, why don't we step outside for a little bit, okay? That was uncomfortable. Sorry about that. They really shouldn't have tried to get you involved. It's probably better for us to stay out of this. No, we should diffuse this. I don't care if you do it, if we get a teacher, security guard, call the National Guard, because they're probably going to commit war crimes against each other. I don't know. We'll go back inside once they're done yelling. That's not the way to handle this. Some president I am, right? I can't even confront my own club members properly. I just wish I was able to be a little more assertive sometimes. But I never have it in me to put my foot down against others. You understand, right? Anyway, no, I don't. If this makes you want to spend less time with the others, then that's fine. I'd be happy to spend time with you instead. Suddenly, Natsuki runs out of the classroom. She quickly runs away. Oh dear. Well, it looks like they're done. Curious what the last comments were. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Yuri is rocking back and forth in her desk with her palms on her forehead. Yuri? I didn't mean it. I believe you. I have no idea what Yuri might have said to Natsuki. Or did. Lee, please don't hate me. Please, I'm not like this. There's something wrong with me today. It's fine, Yuri. We know you didn't mean it. Besides, I'm sure Natsuki will forget all about it by tomorrow. Completely. That's ominous, and I don't appreciate it. Anyway, the meeting is over, so you can go home now if you want. Yuri looks at me like she wants to say something, but she keeps glancing at Monika. You can go first, Monika. I'd like to stay a little bit longer. I'm the president, so I should be the last one out. I'll wait for you to be done. Well, I'm vice president, so please let me take that responsibility today. Aki! What's up? Everything has been a mess this stream, but it's nice to have company. I didn't mean raid. Wrong one. Not my raid message. I can't even do that right. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. You know, I've never seen that, nor have I ever played it. I know very little about Scott Pilgrim. But how did stream go? Hi, Michael. Scott Pilgrim is a cult. That I know. That I know. I know it is. No, you coming over now? It kind of sounds like you don't want me around for something, Yuri. So the stream went well? You go over to his house and you watch Scott Pilgrim? No. It's not that. It's not that. I didn't get much of a chance to discuss my book with Lee. No sports ball for you. What sports ball? I'm a cripple. I don't play nothing. And then play Scott Pilgrim. Well, it would just be embarrassing with you listening. I guess I don't really have a choice, do I? You went bowling. Yeah, you can ask Michael. My leg almost gave out in the process. I'm not walking very well today as a result. I love bowling. It was not easy. I guess I don't really have a choice, do I? Besides, I lost. I'm sorry for causing trouble, but I really appreciate you understand. Shadow Realm! Alright. Cheeks. Cheeks. Fun. Color. Anime. Dial-up noises. Hello? It's not happy with me. The stream itself has actually been broken for like a good half of this. My OBS kept disconnecting, the game kept freezing, my bitrate kept tanking, and now the game itself is breaking because it's actually part of the game. Our stream, it's broken. Hang on, hopefully it'll fix after. Oh. Okay. That's a thing. Whatever. Another day passes and it's time for the club meeting already. I've gotten a little more comfortable here over the past couple days. Entering the club room, the usual scene greets me. Welcome back, Lee. Hi, Yuri. I'm not sure if it's me or if it's Yuri's expression, but the weight of yesterday's quarrel still hangs in the air a little. Yuri glances over her shoulder, looking around the room. Natsuki is reading a manga at a desk. And surprisingly, Monika isn't here yet. Suddenly, Yuri takes my arm and pulls me to the corner of the room. About yesterday. I really need to apologize. Nothing like that has ever happened before, and something just came over me, I guess. I wasn't acting mentally sound. Please don't think we're usually like this. Not just me, but Natsuki as well. Yuri? I'm happy that you were considerate and apologized. You don't have to worry too much. Even though I've only been here a couple days, I could tell something was off yesterday. Maybe we were just a little extra sensitive because it was our first time sharing poems. But whatever it was, it didn't make me think any less of you. I had already decided that there's no way you can be a bad person. And now that you're apologizing, I know you really didn't mean it. Lee, don't say those kinds of things so frankly. They make me a little too happy. That's weird. I'm really glad that you're such an understanding person, and I'm really glad that you joined this club. Everything is a little bit brighter with you around. Aww. You know, I super appreciate comments like these. I love to deliver them. I love to hear them. Just say, like, everything just feels a little bit better when you're around. Sorry, what am I saying around? It's not always a romantic gesture. Sometimes it is. Usually it is. But you can say that in a platonic way and have it be nice and wholesome. I played it once before, but it was like years ago, and I remember almost nothing. And I'm playing it, I'm going a completely different route this time around. So a lot of it is really new to me. Hey, have you guys seen Monica? No, I haven't. I was also kind of wondering where she was. I love telling that to people. Exactly! Like, that reminds me of what my students were telling me last week, if you guys remember. I'm pretty sure I talked about it last stream. I don't remember if it was the Kingdom Hearts stream or something else, but them telling me that, like, them coming to my class is their favorite part of the day because the fact that I always have a smile on my face and I'm always laughing and smiling with them makes their days feel just a little bit brighter and better and easier to handle because, like, they feel like that energy is just going on to them. And, like, that gives me the warm fuzzies. Man, Yuri, I'm guessing you haven't either? Yuri is clearly taken aback by how calmly Natsuki is addressing her. No, I haven't. Geez, this isn't like her at all. I know it's stupid, but I can't help but worry a little bit. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Natsuki, about yesterday. I just wanted to apologize. I promise I didn't mean any of the things I said, and I'll do my best to stay under control from now on. So, Yuri, what the heck are you talking about? Did you do something yesterday? Huh? Jeez. Whatever's on your mind, I'm sure it was nothing. I don't even remember anything bad happening. You're the kind of person who worries too much about the little things, aren't you? Well, yeah, she's worried about the little thing, meaning you. But I'll accept your apology anyway, if it helps you feel better about it. Besides, it's kind of nice to hear, since I was always afraid you secretly hated me or something like that. Heh. No, not at all. I don't hate you. Aha. Well, you're kind of weird, but I don't hate you either. Oh, come on. Natsuki turns to me. You're still on trial, though. Hey! Suddenly, the door swings open. Sorry, I'm super sorry. Ah, there you are. I didn't mean to be late. I hope you guys weren't worried or anything. Just a smidge. Nah. Well, Natsuki was. I was not. What took you so long, anyway? Well, my last period today was study hall. To be honest, I kind of just lost track of time. That makes no sense, though. You would have heard the bell ring, at least. Actually, my school does not have a bell. Like, I work at my local public high school. It does not have a bell to tell you that a period is ending. You kind of just have to watch the clock and know what times everything ends. So, it's reasonable, at least in my experience, that she wouldn't have realized what time it was. I must not have heard it since I was practicing piano. Piano? I wasn't aware you played music as well, Monica. I love piano, but I'm not good at it. Don't give me more credit than I deserve. I guess I've been practicing for a while, but I'm still not really good yet. Still, that must require a lot of dedication, so I'm still impressed. Aw, thanks, Yuri. You should play something for us sometime. That's... Monica looks at me. Well, I am working on writing a song, but it's not quite done yet. Maybe once I get a little bit better, I will. That sounds cool. I look forward to it. Is that so? In that case, I won't let you down, Lee. Monica smiles sweetly. I didn't mean any pressure or anything like that. Don't worry. I was hoping I could share it with you anyway. I guess that's why I've been practicing so much recently. I see. I'm not sure if Monica was referring to the whole club or just me. In that case, best of luck. Thanks. So I didn't miss anything, did I? Not really. I chose not to bring up anything about that three of us talked about. Besides, Natsuki has already run off into the closet. Lee, since your compliment put me in a good mood, I was wondering if you'd like to spend some time together today. I mean, in the club. I suppose so. I don't think I could say no to you after you gave that book to me. Well, I guess I need to make sure Natsuki isn't waiting for me. After we finished reading yesterday, she's fine. She's reading over there, see? Don't think about her so much. She's used to being ignored. Wow, okay. Come on, we're going over there. So this is what we're doing today. What just happened? I don't know if the game bugged out or if my computer bugged out. What's the story about, anyway? Well, I look at the cover of the book. The book is titled Portrait of Markov. There's an ominous-looking eye symbol on the front cover. Basically, it's about this religious camp that was turned into a human experiment prison. Wait a minute, what did it say? Portrait of Markov. Is that a real book? Let me look up. Is that an actual book? I'm curious. Number 2 features an ominous looking eye on the cover. No, it's not real. Okay. Or at least doesn't seem to be. Cool. And the people trapped there have this trait that turns them into killing machines that lust for blood. That sounds familiar to something that I can't say because it would spoil. If I even mentioned the name, it would spoil. But the facility gets even worse, and they start selectively breeding people by cutting off their limbs and affixing them to... What? Oh, that might be a little bit of a spoiler. Just a smidge! It's also slightly traumatizing. But anyway, I'm really into it. The book, I mean. Not the thing about the limbs. She's gotta hand it to me, isn't she? That's kind of dark, isn't it? Yuri made it sound like it was going to be a nice story, so that dark turn came out of nowhere. You're not a fan of that sort of thing, Lee? No, it's not that. I mean, I can definitely enjoy these kinds of stories, so don't worry. I hope so. I totally forgot that Yuri is into these things. She's so shy and reclusive on the outside, but her mind seems to be completely different. No, that tracks. That tracks. It's just that this kind of story, it's the kind that challenges you to look at life from a strange new perspective. When horrible things happen, not just because someone wants to be evil, but because the world is full of horrible people and we're all worthless anyway. Oh, okay. Then suddenly... I'm rambling, aren't I? Not again. I'm sorry. Hey, don't apologize. I haven't lost interest or anything. Well, I guess it's alright then. But I feel like I should let you know that I have this problem. When I let things like books and writing fill my thoughts, my whole... What? Oh, so it's just not going to tell me. I kind of forget to pay attention to other people. So I'm sorry if I ended up saying something strange. And please stop me if I start talking too much. I really don't think you need to worry. That just means you're passionate about reading. The least I can do is listen. It's a literature club, after all. That's true. In fact, I might as well get started reading it, right? Yes. Oh, okay. We're doing this again. I mean, you don't have to, but... what are you saying? Let me just get the book. I quickly retrieved the book that I had put into my bag. Alright, it's fine if I sit here, right? I slip into the seat next to Yuri's. Yeah. Are you sure? You seem a little apprehensive. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't want you to. It's just something I'm not very used to. That is, reading in company with someone. I see. Did you just talk during silent reading time? Well, just tell me if I end up distracting you or anything. Alright. I open the book and start the prologue. I soon understand what Yuri means about reading in company. It's as if I can feel her presence over my shoulder as I read. That's because her presence is right there, looking over your shoulder while you read. It's not a particularly bad thing. Maybe a little distracting, but the feeling is somewhat comfort. Honestly, can't relate. Can't relate. I'd be super nervous if someone's like right here, just staring over my shoulder, reading with me. Like, that feels weird, unless I'm, like, doing this. You know what I mean? Like, just showing you something on my phone or whatever. That's weird. I realize she's not actually looking at her own book. I glance over. It looks like she's reading from my book instead. Sorry. I was just bathing into something, and I don't like where that was going. Yuri, you really apologize a lot, don't you? I do? I don't really mean to. Sorry. I'm Yuri sometimes. I mean... Here, this should work, right? I slide my desk until it's up against Yuri's, then hold my book more between the two of them. I suppose so. Yuri timidly closes her own copy. Once we lean in a little bit, our shoulders are almost touching. Oh, here we go again. It feels like my left arm is in the way, so instead I use my right hand to hold the book open. Okay, so I'm on this side of her. For some reason, in my head, I'm thinking of it like the other way, but also I'm left-handed, so I guess that just makes sense. It's like I'd be holding it. I don't know. I guess that makes it kind of difficult to turn the page. Here. Yuri takes her left arm and holds the left side of the book between her thumb and forefinger. I do the same with my right arm on the right side of the book. That way I can turn the page, and Yuri slides it onto her thumb after it flips to her side. But in holding it like this, we're huddled even closer together than before. It's actually kind of distracting me. She looks so cute from this angle, though. It's as if I can feel the warmth of Yuri's face, and she's in the corner of my vision. Are you ready? Huh? To turn the page. Sorry. I think I got a bit distracted for a second. I glance over at Yuri's face again, and our eyes meet. She looking at me. What's good? How you doing? What's up? I don't know how I'll be able to keep up with her. That's okay. You're not as used to reading, right? I don't mind being patient if it takes you a little bit longer. It's probably the least I can do. Aw, the little smile. Since you've been so patient with me. Yeah, thanks. We continue reading. Yuri no longer asks me if I'm ready to turn the page. Instead, I just assume that she finishes the page before me, so I turn it by my own volition. We continue the first chapter in silence. Even so, turning each page almost feels like an intimate exchange. My thumb gently letting go of the page, letting it flutter over to her side as she catches it under her own thumb. Hey Yuri, this might be a silly thought, but the main character kind of reminds me of you a little bit. I can't tell if that's confusion, nervousness, or happiness. It feels like all of the above, and I'm not vibing with that. Huh? No, I don't relate to this character at all. Definitely not. Really? Alright, hang on. Okay. I was just thinking the way she second-guesses things she says and all that. That's what you were talking about. Sorry. Thought you meant something else about her. Something else? Never mind. Okay, nervousness. We didn't even get that far yet, so I don't know why that came into my head. Aha. I don't like where this is going. This is going somewhere sus. Yuri, are you feeling alright? Huh? Yuri's been a little fidgety ever since we started reading. You can rest if you're feeling sick or something. Your breathing is a little... My breathing? Yuri puts her hand on her chest, as if to feel her heartbeat. I didn't even notice. Anyway, I'm fine. I just need some water. Here, you want some? You want a sip? I got you. Oh my god, you have a face. Hey, what's up, Danish? How you doing, man? Welcome in. It is past your bedtime, young man. How you been? Yes, I have a face. I know I don't do this too often. Let me drink a swig of you, my quick... Raul. Moving on. Yuri stands up in 50-50, got a nerve stuck in my... Oh, no! I mean, as somebody who has a busted leg, I know how you feel with the barely walk and your back doesn't feel good. But, are you gonna be okay? Is there anything you can do to, like, fix it? Is it just, like, over time it'll heal? What's gonna happen? I'm just trying to fill my schedule for tomorrow. Here we go. What on earth was that about? Lee? Did something happen just now? Huh? I have no idea. Yuri was acting a little strange, I guess. So you don't know anything. Sorry, I can't say I do. Are you worried about her? No, not really. I was just making sure that you didn't do anything. Excuse me! No, nothing. What could I do? Who are you? Yuri just does this sometimes, so it's nothing alarming. Alright, if you say so. Anyway, why don't we start with sharing our problems with each other? Eh? Fine, I'll contact my doctor tomorrow and see if I can get referred to a physio or something. Shouldn't we wait for Yuri? Nope. It appears people have just come home, so if you start to hear background noise, I apologize. I'll try to mute quick if it gets too loud. Well, she might be a little while, so I just figured we'd get started without her. Is that okay? Yeah, I was just asking. I stand up. I make a mental note of where I left off in the book, then slip it back into my bag. Good. He doesn't, like, fold the corners or the pages. If you do that to a book, I hate you. Who should I show my poem to first? Natsuki. Well, it's not terrible. Thanks. but it's pretty disappointing after your last one. Then again, if this one was as good as your last one, I would be completely pissed. I guess I wanted to try something a little different this time, but I did all the cutesy stuff again. Fair enough, you're still new to this, so I wouldn't expect you to find your style right away. I mean, everyone in the club writes really differently from each other. Maybe you'll find a little influence from all of us. Yeah, I hope you can get to see a doctor soon, buddy. That's gonna feel like crap. I'm sorry. For instance, I noticed that you were spending some time with Yuri today. Not that I care who you spend your time with. After all, I was taught never to expect anything from anybody, so it's not like I was waiting for you or anything. Still, you should at least look over my poem. You'll probably be able to learn something from it. Ah yes, fascinating. The deepest, most riveting of poems I've ever seen. Look at this, guys. Just like, look at the emotion captured in this. It's so abstract. It's so deep. It's so artful. Alright, moving on. Lee, why didn't you come read with me today? I was waiting for you. I was waiting for a long time. It was the only thing I had to look forward to today. Why did you ruin it? Do you like Yuri more? I think you're better off not associating with her. Are you listening to me? Yuri is a sick freak. That should be obvious by now. So just play with me instead. I don't like where this is going, okay? You don't hate me, Lee, do you? Oh, she's bugging out. Do you hate me? Do you want to make me go home crying? The club is the only place I feel safe. Don't ruin that for me. Don't ruin it. Please. Just stop talking to Yuri. Play with me instead. It's all I have. Play with me. Play with me. Oh, okay. End. I happen to get distracted by something at the worst possible moment. And, like, I saw it come at me from the corner of my eye. It was just like, baha! That was horrible. Oh my goodness. You know, that's not what people usually mean when they say, mind your neck. Hi again, Lee. How's the writing going? Alright, I guess. I'll take that. As long as it's not going bad. I'm happy that you're applying yourself. Maybe soon you'll come up with a masterpiece. I wouldn't count on that. You never know. Want to share what you wrote for today? Sure, here you go. Give my poem to Monica. Alright. Great job, Lee. I was going ooh in my head while reading it. It's really metaphorical. I'm not sure why, but I didn't expect you to go for something so deep. I guess I underestimated you. It's easiest for me to keep everyone's expectations low. That way it always counts when I put in some effort. That's not very fair. Hang on, let me turn my sensitivity down. Well, I guess it worked anyway. You know that Yuri likes this kind of writing, right? Writing that's full of imagery and symbolism. Sometimes I feel like Yuri's mind is just totally detached from reality. How did this end up being... Wait. How did this end up being a Yuri poem? I did all the things that Natsuki would be into. That's confusing. I don't know if that's just, like, scripted. I don't mean that like it's a bad thing. But sometimes I get the impression that she's just totally given up on people. She spends so much time in her own head that it's probably a much more interesting place for her. I feel that. Sometimes reality is often disappointing. But that's why she gets so happy when you treat her with a lot of kindness. I don't think she's used to being indulged like that. She must really be starved for social interaction, so don't blame her for coming on a little strongly, like earlier. I think if she gets too stimulated, she ends up withdrawing and looking for alone time. Suddenly the door opens. Yuri! I'm back. Did I miss anything? Not really. Well, we all started sharing our poems with each other. Huh? Already? I'm sorry for being late. No need to apologize. We still have plenty of time, so I'm more glad that you took all the time you needed. Alright, thanks, Monica. I suppose I should go get my poem now. But anyway, you want to read my poem now? I like the way this one turned out, so I hope you do too. Save me. The colors, they won't. Bright, beautiful colors. Flashing, expanding, piercing, red, green, blue. An endless cacophony of meaningless noise. The noise, it won't stop. Violent, grating... What does that say? Squeaking, screeching, piercing, sine, cosine, tangent, Like playing a chalkboard on a turntable. Oh, that sounds horrible. Like playing a knife on a breathing rib cage. An endless poem of meaningless. Delete her. Oh, sorry. I know it's kind of abstract. I'm just trying to well, never mind.